At the base of the majestic Mount Fuji, one of Japan's most iconic and revered places, stretches a forest with a serene appearance but a dark reputation. Its name is Aokigahara, although many simply know it as the Suicide Forest. At first glance, Aokigahara might seem like a natural paradise. Tall, lush trees. Dirt paths winding through twisted roots. A deep, almost unnatural silence that envelops everything, but as one ventures into its shadows, the feeling changes. Something weighs in the air. Something beyond the physical. A dense, almost oppressive energy that many claim to feel instantly. This forest, spanning more than 30 square kilometers, has been the subject of numerous stories, legends, and myths for centuries. But its modern fame is due to something much darker: the alarming number of people who have chosen to end their lives within it. It is estimated that, since the second half of the 20th century, hundreds, possibly thousands, of people have died there, making Aokigahara one of the places with the highest number of suicides on the planet. But how did such a beautiful place become such a sinister symbol? To understand, one must look in several directions: the history of the forest, Japanese culture surrounding death, traditional legends, and also the quiet, human side of suffering that leads someone to seek out a place like this to disappear. Aokigahara is located in Yamanashi Prefecture, and its origins date back to a major eruption of Mount Fuji in the year 864. The solidified lava created a unique volcanic terrain, covered with moss, icy caves, and trees that grew among the rocks as if sprouting from the underworld. This uneven land is the reason why the forest is dense, silent, and hard to explore. The shallow roots create a ghostly landscape. In addition, the volcanic soil absorbs sound, generating an atmosphere of strange stillness, where hardly any birds or wind can be heard. In ancient times, this silence did not go unnoticed. During the feudal period, a chilling tradition was practiced in Japan called ubasut, the abandonment of sick or poor elderly people by their families in remote places. It is believed that Aokigahara was one such place. The elderly were left to die in the forest, and their spirits, according to Japanese tradition, would remain trapped there in the form of yurei, tormented ghosts unable to find peace. These stories shaped the forest's dark legend. But it was in the 20th century that Aokigahara became a national symbol of suicide. The publication of the book Kuroi Jukai, The Black Sea of Trees, in 1960, a romantic novel in which the protagonists commit suicide in the forest, marked a turning point. A few years later, a systematic increase in real-life cases began to be observed. People disappearing. Bodies found hanging from trees. Farewell notes. Ribbons left between branches as the only sign of a path back. Authorities began patrolling the forest. Signs were posted with messages of hope, phrases like, "Your life is a precious gift from your parents," or, "Before you decide to die, please talk to someone." Even so, the numbers were chilling. In some years, over 100 suicides were recorded in a single season. Many visitors describe a heavy, almost living atmosphere inside the forest. An unreal silence. Air that does not flow. As if the place itself breathes sadness. Some even say they felt as if someone was watching them from among the trees, even though no one was there. Yurei, according to Japanese folklore, are spirits of people who died with anger, pain, or intense sorrow. Their energy remains trapped in the world of the living, especially in places where tragic acts occurred. Aokigahara, for this reason, is considered a place where yurei wander, confused, searching for something that will never come: rest. Local Buddhist monks perform rituals and periodic ceremonies along the forest trails to soothe these souls. Many visitors have found improvised altars among the vegetation, small statues, incense, offerings, dolls. As if the forest itself had developed its own parallel religion. But beyond the spiritual, there is a social dimension we cannot ignore. Japan, despite being one of the most advanced economies in the world, has one of the highest suicide rates among developed countries. The causes are many: work pressure, social isolation, stigmatization of failure, and a culture that values silent sacrifice. In this context, Aokigahara has been seen as a silent refuge for the desperate. A remote place where no one interrupts. Where one can disappear without making a sound. Where the forest embraces you, and darkness covers everything. It's important to note that the Japanese government and local communities have worked intensely to dissociate the forest from its macabre reputation. Official suicide statistics for the forest have not been published since 2004. Prevention patrols have been established, mental health campaigns launched, and police checkpoints set up at the entrances. Yet still, the myth continues to grow. And on the internet, far from disappearing, the legend has been amplified. Videos, documentaries, and even YouTubers, some with questionable attitudes, have used Aokigahara as the setting for their content. Many have been harshly criticized for trivializing suffering or treating the place as a horror-themed tourist attraction. But the forest is not a theme park of fear. It is a real place, where real people have made painful decisions. Where human pain mixes with the supernatural. Where every trail could lead to an interrupted story. Today, Aokigahara remains silent, mysterious, full of symbols and warnings. Many of its paths are safe for responsible hikers, but others are closed off or monitored. In its deepest parts, where the vegetation is thickest, GPS coverage fails and orientation becomes extremely difficult. That's why many visitors carry colored ribbons to mark their way in, although, sadly, in some cases, they never return. Nature there seems to have allied with mystery. Roots rising from the ground look like arms. Fog appears without warning. Trees twist into impossible shapes. And the forest seems to guard in every corner a story no one wants to say out loud. Aokigahara is not just a place on the map. It is a dark mirror of the human soul. A reminder that even in the most organized and modern countries, pain can grow in silence. That sadness can have its own sanctuary. That there are places where death is not just a statistic, but a whisper that floats in the air. If this story has impacted you, if you feel the need to understand more about the real mysteries of the world, places where the spiritual, the historical, and the emotional intersect, subscribe to this channel. Each week we explore sites that defy logic. From enchanted forests to lost cities, from ancient rituals to unexplained events. Deep, human, and often unsettling stories. Subscribe and join us on this journey into the unknown. Because the world is full of shadows, and sometimes, only by looking straight at those shadows, do we find a bit of light.